Hello, everybody. You're welcome to my channel. This is Daisy Mtom, uh, coming to you with a little Bible study. Um, Today, we're going to study topic title worship, and I'm going to read from the book of John, chapter 4, verse 23 to 24. And it says, "Yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshippers will worship the Father in the Spirit and truth, for they are the kind of worshippers the Father seeks. God is Spirit, and his worshippers must worship in the Spirit and in truth." And that is a text that comes from the book of John, chapter 4, verse 23 to 24. And I want to talk about worship. I want to talk about worship. Um, when we talk about worship, what comes to our mind basically is giving honor to a higher being, giving honor to someone who is higher than you. And in this context, it's talking about a worship that God is expecting from us. Because the Bible tells us that the reason why we were created, we're created to worship God. We are created for his pleasure, for God's pleasure. So our duty as human beings on this earth, one of the duties that we have as human beings and as children of God, is to give him back worship. Is to give him back worship. When we worship God, we come alive. When we worship God, we are connecting to the Creator, to our Maker. We are connecting to the source of life. Just like a fish cannot survive without water, when you take a fish out of water, the fish will die. That is how it is with us human beings. If you disconnect from God, you begin to die spiritually. And the essence of your creation is to continue to have fellowship with your Creator. Even though we are not yet in heaven, we are supposed to continue to have that fellowship. We have a piece of heaven in us, which connects us through our spiritual life. The breath that we have is by the Spirit of God. So the Father is looking for people who will worship Him in spirit and in truth. And the scripture is telling us here that a time will come, a time will come, and the time is now, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Because those are the kind of worshippers that God is looking for. As a matter of fact, God is looking for something. When we hold services, when we sing, when we sing, when God comes in, He's looking for something. He's looking for something that will connect us with Him. And that is the Spirit of God in us. People worship different kinds of things. Some people worship on the mountain, some worship by the riverside, some worship in the desert, different kinds of worship. People are worshiping different kinds of things. They are worshiping different kinds of things for different reasons. But in our own case, as the children of God that have been saved and washed by the blood of the Lamb, our worship belongs to God. When we go to church, when we are singing, do we allow our spirit man to connect with God? Because the Father is seeking, when He comes into a church, when service is going on, He's looking for something. He's looking for the spirits that are connecting with Him. So in other words, you can actually be worshiping, but you can be worshiping just using with your mind. You can be worshiping using you, in your heart, but not connecting with the Spirit of God. You can be worshiping from your head. You can be worshiping with your eyes, but your spirit will not be connected to God. So connecting with God through your own spirit is very, very important in worship. And that is what the Father is looking for. Anytime we open our mouths to sing, anytime we close our eyes and we begin to worship, when he comes down, he's looking for that spirit that is in you. If he's connecting with him, that's what he's looking for. The connection, the connection is what God is looking for every time we come before him to worship. Are we entering the inner court? Are we actually able to get into the inner court of his presence? Until we begin to worship that way, we are not exactly worshiping him. And one of the reasons that God is also looking for, if we are true worshippers, our worship will not only end up in churches. Our worship will not end up on a day of service, or when we are called upon, or just few days, or maybe every morning in our houses. It's not going to end there. If we are true worshippers, our worship will become a lifestyle. Worship is an act. It's an act. It's something. It's like something you wear for life. When you understand how to worship God in spirit and in truth, you find out that everything that you do in your life, it becomes an act of worship. You begin to carry that worship all over the place. When you are at work, when you are sleeping, when you are talking to someone, when you are at home, you are cleaning, or you are doing, even when you are walking on the street, even the way you greet someone, the way you greet someone can be an act of worship. So, worshiping God in spirit and in truth entails that we worship God 24/7. Our lifestyle must speak of that worship. I can go into a room now and pray. I can pray for 2 hours, for 3 hours. When I'm done, I can, disengage myself from the prayers and come out and do other stuff and give my attention to other stuff. But I can be in the room and worship God and not be disconnected from that worship. I will worship God. I will be worshiping God. And when I finish worshiping in the room, I will still carry this worship along with me. Whatever I'm doing, I will still have that worship, will still be in me. It will still be in me. And that is why I can greet someone and it will be an act of worship. I can be washing dishes and it will be an act of worship. I'll still be worshiping God. I can be walking on the street and it will still be an act of worship. I will be in the office and be doing my job, and I'll be doing everything as unto the Lord. As unto the Lord. That is when the worship becomes an act. That is what worship becomes a lifestyle. That is when it becomes a lifestyle. So God is not only calling us to worship on Sunday, or worship every day in the mornings and then we disconnect. No, He's calling us to wear worship as a lifestyle. When everything that we are doing it as unto the Lord, then our lives become sacrifices. Our lives become our lives are laid out. Our lives are laid out for His glory. Everything that we do, we are looking at the glory of the Lord in it. And that is why we must make worship a lifestyle. And we must connect our spirits. Anytime we are worshiping God, we must connect our spirits with worship. That is the reason why He has created us, to give Him pleasure, so that He will find pleasure in us. We are created to worship. We are created to worship. We are worshiping Him because that is the reason why He created us, to have pleasure with us. Just like when you have your children, you want your children to keep fellowshipping with you. You want your children to keep coming back to you. You want to always have an eye on your children and know what they are doing and make sure that your children are safe. God is interested in keeping that connection with us through worship. He wants us to always be connected with Him in worship. And as we continue to meditate and to, you know, and to connect ourselves in worship to God, we will become living altars that are alive. We will come alive. We will become living sacrifices. Our lives will be pleasing before Him, and we will give Him pleasure. And we will continue to be alive as God has desired for us. So I hope that this short message will bless someone. I hope that you allow God to benefit from your worship. You allow God to be part of your worship. You allow God to dwell in your worship as it flows every day of your life. And that is how you become a living sacrifice. So thank you very much for everyone that was able to listen. I hope to come in the next episode and we'll have another exciting topic. And God bless you all. Don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel. I Daisy and Tom Music, and also hit the notification bell. Every time I drop a video, you will be the first person to get the videos. So until I come your way next time, have a blessed day. Bye.